I dobrodošli ljudi u još jedan gameplay. Danas igramo jednu igricu koja se zove The Stanley Parable. Ta igrica vam je neki lik kao narator vas vodi kroz priču i on vas troluje sve vreme. Imate choice da pratite ono što vam on kaže ili da samo pičite i radite šta god hoćete. Mislim da je do jaja igrica. Gledao sam je valjda kad je PewDiePie igrao ili tako neko pre dosta godina, ali ništa nisam zapamtio, ne sjećam se ničega, tako da ono bit će do jaja. Bacite like, share, sub i ostale stvari. Vidjet ćemo da izbacujemo daily ili na svaka 2 dana content, zavisi od mog editora. Tako da ništa, opustite se, uživajte i krećemo sa serijalom The Stanley Parable. Vidimo se. Zip. Have you played The Stanley Parable before? Oh shit, brate, krećemo. No. Bukvalno nikad nisam igrao, samo sam gledao malo nešto. Please adjust the slider until the computer is barely visible. Ja mislim da je ovo do jaja. Mislim da je okej. Please enter the current time. What the fuck? Ne seri, brate. 11 i 14 sad, brate. Ova igraca će bude zanimljiva u pičku materiju. Imam neki osjećaj dobar. Click to skip. Ovo, aj slušam.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
427, dobro, dobro.
Number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push.
What the fuck?
And in what order.
Ja bih ga za ljude koji ne znaju engleski. Unlucky.
Every day of every month of every year.
Tako ja igram Valorant.
And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
What the fuck? Greo, brate, nalazi se u glini, brate.
And then one day something very peculiar happened.
Peculiar.
Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi.
Nikog nije bilo.
Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This
Karantin.
complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ja ne mogu da skačem još, brate. A mogu da kraučem. Odem ispod ovde. Ne seri. Aha, znači na levi klik interaktujem sa stvarima. Mogu i na E i na levi klik. Dobro, ništa da vidimo, brate, šta dešava sa izolacijom. Ne mogu dođem nigde.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Moguće.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find
Napišite mi, ovo sam ja ugasio. Lol. Napišite mi u komentarima da li da pratimo sve što nam narator govori ili da onako ga zajebam ja. Naprimjer, ako mi kaže kao da idem u levo, da ja odem desno ili ne. Šta mislite, šta radimo tada? Mislim da hoće da probam, brate. Sve što mi on kaže da radim drugo. Da može se oduži tako gameplay, to bi bilo smor. Viš mogu da ugasim svaki komp, brate. Dobro, a kompovi iz 1731. He entered the door on his left. Znači on mi kaže sad idem levo, vidite. Kao što sam rekao u početku, znači ovaj narator nam bukvalno govori šta trebamo da radimo. I on sad meni kaže kao da idem u vrata levo. Ali, mi smo pizdurine, idemo desno.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Da, jer sam samo teo te trolem. Da ima.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Ali bi sad popio neku kafetinu. Inače, ja ljudi uopšte ne pijem kafu u real life-u. Kaže mi sad bukvalno da idem ovde. U jebot, ali creepy, ovdje ide u kurac. Ne bi da mi je pravo, brate, kog jebe. O mamu, jebem. krenuo je već on nas da jebe. Da uzvraća. Gle ovaj, brate. Skladišnik. Skladišnik. Da vidimo, brate, što ima ovdje. Warning, do not jump from the cargo lift while it is in motion. Will cause death. Necessary. Šta kaže? Penalty for misuse of cargo lift. Penalty for jumping of the cargo lift. Evo da imamo. Da li da skočim dole? Da li da skočim i da platim $5000?
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you're very powerful.
Jeben ga usta, brate. Kako mu isprozivao sad?
Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself.
By yourself.
I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
For her?
This is it.
Ko je her?
Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside,
to let her back into your life. Ko je her, brate? Znači to može da bude ćerka, žena ili kurva. Neko to troje. Sad ćemo da vidimo dalje što trebamo da radimo. Oh, fuck me, brate. Mogu negdje drugdje dođu, ne mogu. Što ne mogu, brate, dođemo u ovo sranje, samo da razvalimo ova vrata i da pobegnu u pičku materinu odavde. Ali ja bih ga izgleda moramo da odemo u Nebojšu. Ujebote, kurac. Ajde vidimo šta će nam kaže her. Amber Heard.
My dog stepped on a bee.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Sweetie.
I'm pulling the bread out of the oven. All right.
To je žena? Ne mogu se pomeram.
There we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Ujebote. What the fuck?
Gotcha.
Ujebote.
Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Dobro, majmune. Puši mi kurac.
I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Kako je creepy, jebem ti, koliko ja mrzim lutke, bre.
Sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Znači ja sam umro. Good morning, please press Y on your keyboard. Neću kliknem, brate. Sve što nam on kaže nećemo da uradimo. Dobro. Please press M.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do.
Pa mamu ti jebem.
He's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work.
Relatable.
One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Please press G. I on sa meni sve vreme govori, brate, da ja moram... Oh my god.
But in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown.
Samo snovi.
Fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
To him. Please press E to watch TV. Please press B to spend time with the boys. With the boys. With the fucking boys. Boys.
Imagine that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice.
Choice.
It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Please press it, ali brate, znači ja kliknem dugme da bi uradio nešto i ne uradim ništa zapravo. Please press T to tell your wife you love her. Aww. Natalija, volim te.
How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets. The more he forgets which life is the real one.
Znate što ova igrica toliko depressive, relatable i sad u isto vreme?
Trying to tell him this. That in this world he can never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself.
Ujebo.
But he won't listen to me.
Won't.
Stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, The next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Please press O to be at work in the morning. Ne znam, brat, ajde, klikćemo, boli mi kurac.
Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? Beer's time. And I tried again.
Please die, what?
Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
What the fuck? Umro sam od postojanja, brat. Ubila me egzistencija. Dobro, znači za sad smo 2 puta umrli. Evo, rekao mi je da idem levo. Ajde, idemo levo, ko jebe. On is left. Dobro, dobro. I pičemo ovdje ovu creepy jebenu sobu. Oh my fucking god. Kad sam radio u jednom call centru, isto izgledala soba ko ova, brate. Znaš koliko creepy jebote. Bukvalno ovdje sedi ta glavna likuša, ovdje smo imali neko sranje gdje smo pisali i ovdje smo mi ovako sedeli. Ja sam sedeo ovdje sam ja sedeo. Oh my god, brate. What the fuck? Everyone is unique. You most of all. Koji sam ja od ovih. Ova ovdje, a? I šta imamo dalje? Ne seri, mogu dođem u broom closet.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Ajmo. Slušat ćemo ga sad, da ne bi morali da ponavljamo.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ali očevijem što ima dole, brate. Ovo je zaključano. Gle ovo, brate. Nikad nije dobro ići. Što piše ovdje? Ne mogu da pokupim ovo. Nikad nije dobro ići podrob, brate, ali idemo koga jebe.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet?
Da, to je dobar point.
Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
True.
And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming!
To, znao sam.
He yelled.
San.
This is all a dream.
True.
What a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon.
Nadajmo se.
Go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons.
Ponavlja sve.
I'll enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up.
Nice.
How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps
Lucid
the
dream, brat,
strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
True.
Now the voice was describing itself being
Može pa je previše
by
pečuraka,
Stanley,
brat.
who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that?
True.
This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently.
Sad ćemo dobro, me gledao sad.
To wake up.
Sad će dobro.
He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this.
I će se pojavim ponovo u kancelariji.
Let me wake up, he thought to himself.
Wake up,
I'm through
Stanley.
this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please. It's all I
Please.
want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal.
I am normal. Everything will be fine. Bavit ću se u kancelariji.
Okay.
Kancelarija, 100%. What the fuck? Gdje sam ja, bre? What?
Stanley began screaming.
Oh!
Someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I
Lol.
am real. Please,
Ja korupam nešto.
someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice?
Oh!
And everything went black.
Oh! What the fuck, bro?
This
Narkomanska igrica.
of a woman named Mariella.
Ko je sad Mariela, brate? Koji kurac, šta se dešava ovdje?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed,
Da vidimo.
gathered her belongings.